What's up, everybody? We are here, the next episode of Run the Mindset, and we are here with CoreAGaming himself, Gerald. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, how's your trip been?
Yeah.
Korea, man.
It's been great. You know, I came to Korea in October. I went to your office, and it was a blast. And obviously, I'm super into the culture.
Yeah.
So the fact that you agreed to do this, it's really awesome because I'm a person that looks up to you when it comes to FGC content, especially because I went more towards that route,
Yeah, no, it's awesome. You've been killing it on the content game, and I'm sure people appreciate all the stuff that you're putting out now. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's more just trying to find that one special thing, right?
Okay.
But that's what you have. I feel like you have like that special thing where you're able to tell stories. You're able to like kind of make these like deep dives. And a lot of the videos, when I look back at it recently, just kind of like getting ready to like talk to you, it's like it's not that casual. It's very like super analytical, like more into the FGC kind of like, but you're trying to explain it to the people that don't understand it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I feel with gaming in general and the fighting game community is that these are kind of all microcosms of like bigger things in life, right? So like, I mean, you can take any kind of concept in the FGC that you just, you might take for granted because it's just like a fighting game thing, but then you can kind of extrapolate that to like a bigger concept. For example, like if you look at resource management in fighting games, like, people talk about like spending the cash and stuff like that, but I mean, that is a thing, right?
That is a thing.
Not that, because you know about that stuff, you're going to get good at finance or anything like that, but these little things kind of you can make connections, and I think that really resonates with people when they realize like, oh, these things. Sorry, Pancho's he's bodying the. But yeah, I feel like with fighting games and gaming in general, like cats play games, right?
Yeah.
They wrestle, they fight, and this is to, it's not just because they want to have fun. There's reason you're preparing, for stuff that life throws at you. Right?
Yeah.
And so one of the topics that's big in fighting games is salt, right? And the kind of discipline and the mentality that you need to play these fighting games sometimes can kind of test that, right?
Yeah.
So I think those kind of topics are really interesting for people because, it does, we play these games and oftentimes they're seen as things that, it's just a diversion or kind of not, like you don't want to spend too much time on it or whatever. And but I do think there are things that you can glean from games, and especially in a community, because it's no longer like gaming in a basement now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now like you come to Korea, you know someone in Korea, you know me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I go to Canada, go to Vancouver.
Oh yeah, we go into dim sum all day.
Yeah, you
best
show me
Chinese
some
food.
food. Yeah, this is like really valuable, I think. And So I kind of want to show that side of fighting games. I love like the Akuma reveals and the all the hype stuff as well. But I think there's a lot of people that can do that so much better and so well. And so I guess like you said, I kind of have like my own thing going on. But that's probably because I can't do the other stuff.
I mean, I feel like you just have really good stories. Even just like being in your apartment, just everything's so vintage, and like it just really looks like, wow, okay, you could tell a lot about your personality. And I think that also kind of like makes sense with like the stuff that you put on your YouTube and everything. But obviously, like before you got to that level, like when you first started, like what made you start getting into it? Because when I was looking into like what's your first video, it was kind of more of like stuff that's like about like, oh, like Korea FGC, let's build the scene, let's do like these interviews with the Korean players, or let's do arcade streams.
Yeah.
Like what got you like really into it then?
Yeah, so I guess like the true story is not super like romanticized or anything. It's it's very simple. So I've been doing video work. We've been running a small video business for a while, probably since about 2013. This is way before my YouTube channel, which was 2015. And when you're doing video business stuff and you're not getting a lot of customers, basically you have a bunch of video equipment and you have people getting, impatient and frustrated, and at one point you have to start making your own content because people are not paying you to make content for them, right? So we had to make our own content, and I think there was like 3 channels that we just started, and so one was CoreAGaming because I like fighting games. And I was really into the scene, Evo, and all that stuff. And then I think some of the other guys, they made like a Core Midnight channel, which is kind of more like kind of experimental content. And then there's and then there's Core Studios, which is just our company. Like we make commercial video work for companies.
Yeah, just like brands all over.
Brands all over. And so the CoreAGaming channel, I just did that because you have a lot of time when you don't have a lot of business, and so that kind of grew and it was building up. And initially it was like people that were in the Korean scene that they speak Korean, and I can translate them. I can make videos. So it's like, okay, well maybe some people out there want to know more about the what these players are saying and stuff like that, right? So I kind of started off with making content on that, and then like I think I saw like some of my stuff on shoryuken.com and event hubs, and I was like, oh, okay, like people are actually like watching it. They appreciate that this exists, right? And so I kept on doing it, and then at one point, this was around the time when like the media was kind of like realizing like gaming is like as media is a thing. Like gaming content is like a real thing, and there's kind of this pushback. Like it's kind of like, what is this gaming? Like why are people like watching people playing games? It's like, well, we watch people who fishing, building houses,
bowling,
talking, talk shows. We watch people talk. So why is it so crazy that like, that some people want to watch people game? And so I kind of made a kind of clickbait title video where I just kind of like, poured my, opinions about this thing, and it was pretty like, I don't know if it was the most fair video, but it was like, I just I don't know, I just had a lot of things that I wanted to say. It was during the I remember like I was watching Evo with like other people who were not like fighting game guys, and they knew a little bit, right? Because they, Street Fighter, everyone played a little bit or whatever,
as a kid or something,
and they're getting like mad hype and stuff like that, and they're like, it's like to the point where we had to be quiet because like we're in the office, like, and it was like everyone was getting hype, and then like and then we were also hyped about the Manny Pacquiao match with Floyd Mayweather.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, and everyone was hyped about that. I was hyped about that, and we were all hyped, and we watched it, and we enjoyed it and everything. But it was like, it's not the same vibe as like watching like an Evo match go down to the last pixel.
You got lamed out too.
Yeah,
you got lamed
out too. Yeah, to be fair, yeah. But I mean, so I was just like, okay, now everyone's like gaming and competitive gaming. And then at the same time, like I see this, I'm just like, no, fighting games are awesome, right? Like, this is, and so like I had to make some video on that. And of course, I had to start speaking, and I had to make a video essay to kind of show like how I felt about stuff. So I put, and that video like got a lot of views actually, and it was being retweeted by like tons of people. Like people, I think some people were like, oh yeah, cringy clickbait title, but you should really check out this video and all that stuff. And then I just kept on doing that, and over time I think might have gotten picked up on the algorithm, like some of the content. And I think at one point there was one of the videos, like I think was put on the front page of YouTube for like 15 minutes or something.
Oh wow, okay.
It was like something happened. I don't know, because I don't know how, nobody knows how that stuff works, right?
Nobody does.
And then this one video, like, which, like, it's not my best video, but like it just suddenly just got like hundreds of thousands of views after it came out, like for a while. So it's like a video that's already been there for a while, but it's like suddenly now it's just like getting like 10x views. I'm like, what is going on? And then when that video got like all these views, and the other videos started like blowing up too on the channel. And so I was like, oh crap, this is like real. And I didn't know what was happening. And then ever since then, like I started doing more. I was like, okay, this is definitely worth doing. And
I really love the thumbnails. The thumbnails are like, some of them are like so simple, but it just tells you a story. Especially because I'm already so involved in fighting games. I'm like, okay, I already know what this is about.
Yeah.
But it's also like simple enough where people's like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this, right? Yeah. I think my favorite one was the Queen's Gambit one.
Oh,
one they put out, or the Korean Backdash one. That one was really good too.
Oh yeah, the Korean Backdash. That's just the arrows, right?
Yeah, the arrows.
Yeah, no, I like those because it's like really easy to make.
Yeah.
I like the simple ones. The Queen's Gambit one, I had to like combine like all these. There's like probably like 50 layers of like all these different kinds of games, and yeah, in the thumbnail making, I do all the thumbnails myself,
nice.
And I do like the process. It's kind of like a movie poster almost, right?
Yeah.
And of course I used to have like text on there, but like I just like it's partial laziness, but then the laziness is kind of like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. This thumbnail kind of has like a vibe, like it has a lot of meaning without as much stuff on it, and so I don't know, that just kind of became my thumbnail thing, and I guess it's one way to stand out if you have like a lot of ones. YouTube like thumbnails. And
what's like your favorite fighting game?
My favorite fighting game
of all time.
So I mean, like, this is definitely an old man game, but like I think ST Super Turbo is the game that, like, if it's just anywhere and someone's playing, like I gotta get in.
You just gotta put a quarter.
Yeah, it's just not saying that this is the best designed, most brilliant game or anything like that. I mean, we all know. I mean, probably more than anyone. Like, this is, there's some problems with this game for sure, but it's dope. I can't stop playing it.
Yeah. Because for me, at least for the retro titles, that's like the one game I would avoid the most.
Okay,
like,
all right.
Compared to like Third Strike, CVS, and Marvel 2, like those type of games, I'm just like, I don't know. I just never got into ST, but I know why. I can see why people love ST.
Yeah,
like it's a very, like, it's expressive, but it doesn't look like it's expressive. Yeah, because there's a lot of like kind of like matchups like 7-3s and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that it can still be expressive in that regards, even though there are really bad matchups in the game. Yeah,
I mean, people have kind of dissected that game a lot, like like the T-Hawk glitch and like all these things.
And that's new. That was I mean, not new anymore, but that was like found after Street Fighter 4 option selects was found.
Oh yeah. So that's well, that's testament to, like, I guess, like, people are still playing it like in droves, right? So I guess. But yeah, I mean, definitely, like, when you play it, like, there's like a jankiness to it that, like, the modern games kind of have solved. Even like something like Third Strike, you can feel that there's a lot more polish and a lot more thought put to like every single aspect of the game, and just like the juggle system and the stun system and everything. They everything's kind of well thought out. But I feel like with ST, the video I'm working on kind of goes through every single fighting game type, and you can't talk about, like, the history of fighting games without, like, Street Fighter 2. Right?
Yeah,
that was like
true.
The one where, and so it's kind of like but the thing was that they kind of didn't know what they were doing either when they made Street Fighter 2. Like, combos, that was glitch. Like, cancels, that was like a glitch. I mean, the developers, I guess, when they released it, they knew it was going to be like that, but it was an accident that they found, right? So
that's interesting. Yeah, that's actually surprising, I guess, compared to Street Fighter 1. I mean, Street Fighter 1 didn't have combos at all.
No. That was like a very prototypical game. There were like no knockdowns even, right? And a knockdown is probably one of the most important things in fighting games. If you think about, like, what Okizeme is, right? It's like, so, like, I think 1 was kind of more of a prototype to 1 and Karate Champ and ER Kung Fu. Those all, like, contributed to what made Street Fighter 2 a thing. But I think definitely, like, Street Fighter 2 is kind of, it's like they figured out, oh, this is like, we have something here that's like really amazing, and it blew up. And what's interesting about it is I think of Street Fighter 2 is kind of like the first iPhone. Like, the first iPhone didn't have copy and paste, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and there's like an interview that came out with, like, the guy who's like working on that. He was just like, oh, we just didn't have time. It's just like, you just released it before. Like, it's like, it's not like the iPhone is like the best phone ever, but it's kind of like after iPhone, it's like all phones became like iPhone. Like, the tablet kind of,
they copied pretty much, copy paste.
Yeah, that kind of form factor or whatever. But but then there's phones that are different from the iPhone. Obviously, there's like phones with different features, and and so I kind of see, like, Street Fighter 2 kind of being like the iPhone, and then like SNK might be like the Android or the Galaxy phones, where kind of like, okay, we gotta like do different stuff to like kind of. And so, like, SNK had all the experimental stuff. They had the dashing, and they had the
They went crazy.
They went crazy. Like they invented run. They invented all this stuff, and then that even Street Fighter would later add.
Yes.
Right. It was like in Street Fighter it was like very stubborn. It's kind of like, no, we have this kind of gameplay, and for Street Fighter to add stuff that's part of the core gameplay, they probably had to really think about it, right? Like adding dashing.
Yeah.
Like in Street Fighter 3, for example. Right?
Okay, yeah, that makes if that era was kind of crazy because they literally were competing in arcades of like, we got to release new fighting games like ASAP, right? And I think SNK did a great job with like releasing different type of fighting games. Yeah. Street Fighter 2, they really got lazy. They just like, you know what, we're gonna keep 2 all the way to Champion, Hyper, Super, then ST.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked, I guess, overall in the end, but I felt bad for SNK because they really were thinking outside the box.
Oh yeah, they're really thinking outside the box. I mean, if you think even with like the iPhone, Galaxy examples, like like iPhones had like a 3.5-inch screen for the longest time, like a small screen, and I think they were like, oh, we don't need a bigger screen, right? But then like, if you look at what Galaxy phones were doing, they're just making all sorts of like big screens, small screens, like whatever kinds of phones, and then like the big screen thing kind of stuck, right? And now you can't imagine a phone that's like 3.5 inches that screen would be way too small for anything, right? Even for like an iPhone mini kind of phone,
that's
right?
True.
So like those innovations, they do come from like because you have to stand out from the original, and I feel like kind of Street Fighter kind of played it safe for a while, and but I mean, I think that's kind of. But see, like I was saying at the beginning of this talk, like I think like talking about this fighting game stuff is. It is like a microcosm for stuff that happens in the world, like other parts of the world. So too, and so the topic I'm working on now for my video is basically, I guess if you look at the themes, I did like honers versus innovators. You can kind of see like the theme there. It's like in the title.
Yeah.
But like every fighting game type explained, which is the name of the next video. So that's a reveal right there. That video is, I guess the theme would be kind of like old versus new.
Yeah, old versus new. That's a very popular topic at the moment.
Yes, I can see like, and one thing I think that makes the fighting games unique is it is one of those kind of genres where there's so many different fighting games that it's like it's like too many. It's like almost a problem, right? Because it's just like it's like splitting the community to like playing all these different games. They can't really convene on.
I mean, I hate it.
Yeah. I mean,
like everyone loves it. And I'm just like, no, man, just give us like a 6-month break or something.
Yeah.
Because obviously EVO's coming up, and this video is probably going to come out like after EVO for sure.
Okay, sure.
But we already know there's going to for sure have announcements, like because that's EVO. It's like kind of the main show, right? And if you compare it to last year, which they had announcements, this year obviously they're going to have more announcements probably. Maybe a new Sid Wolf's character, like that's more stuff, or a final release date.
Yeah.
Maybe the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Maybe Terry trailer might come up.
Yeah.
Tekken 8, Lydia, or maybe another character, or like finally stuff like that. So it's just too much.
Yeah. There's I've heard this expressed with the with a lot of people actually. Like this, it's just like. Yeah, there's a point where it's just kind of like, okay, now this is like you can't keep track of everything, and so but that is definitely an FGC like thing though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like especially nowadays where like it is hard to keep track of, but I think it's good to understand what is going on there as well, because a lot of these games, I mean, if you look at them, they're not like completely brand new concepts or ideas. They're kind of like variations on some stuff that has existed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And I mean, like like the connections, like is it Hunter x Hunter that game is obviously there's like Marvel influence, like versus game like influence, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there is this type of game, and so basically the video I'm working on, which I guess by the time people see this, they will have seen it, but I guess the idea behind it is just to kind of show what's going on in the space, like where do these games fall, and I think in this video it's going to explain the whole Smash thing like as clearly as I can explain like where Smash stands, and Smash is very interesting. It's hard, but
hard.
But the thing is like it's doing something so different, right? But then it's also exploded, right? But like the thing is, if you can be different, if you're like one of a kind and like you don't explode, you have like a cool thing going on there, but it's kind of like it becomes like a niche thing.
Yeah.
But if you do something different and it explodes, then it's just like that's like a thing now. That now you have to like how many like 2D fighting games like are like Mortal Kombat with you can't hold back to block, but you have a block button, right? It's like how many games that big like have it like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty much it's just Mortal Kombat, right?
Mortal Kombat and 3D games are the ones that has the other block.
Yeah, but then that's like a very different
yeah.
kind of game, right? So there's comparisons to 2D, like to Mortal Kombat and 3D games. Obviously, like the juggle combo system. Like remember Mortal Kombat 1? Like you found like the broken like wall, like jumping.
The jumping
high
punch.
Yeah. That was like.
It was so janky. Like Mortal Kombat, I don't think they still understand how to make the game. That's just what I personally think. Just because like. Because like the more hits you do, the more pushback your character goes.
Yeah.
So they're trying to. I guess that's their version of infinite prevention.
Yeah.
Right. But in general, it's just I don't know the clashing. Like if there's a projectile on the floor and then you go for a grab and the grab doesn't go into an animation state.
Yeah.
And you just kind of just break the grab. Like that just looks so jank. But yeah, that's just my personal take on it.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's definitely like Mortal Kombat kind of did its own thing, but the thing was it blew up because
did.
And of course obviously there's like the fatalities and like there's kind of the performative aspect of it, right? But it's but yeah, I mean I guess like the games modern Mortal Kombat games are a lot better than the ones like when we played growing up like in the 90s like the
I mean 2 kind of killed it. 2 was amazing.
Yeah, 2 was 2
and 3.
Yeah,
like 1 was it's kind of like 1 is like your first one's always kind of like the one that will just it was cool, but then it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
And then they made 2 and 3, and then you're like, okay, 1 sucks.
Yeah.
Right, that type of thing. Then once they went to 3D, I think that's when they kind of like fell off a lot until I would say like at least 9.
Okay.
From the mainstream. There's the PS2 ones, and a lot of people say those are really good. I haven't even tried those ones, but like they said those are like amazing. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. No, I remember playing 9 and 10, but like I guess the recent ones I kind of to be honest, just played the story mode and then
story mode's great.
Yeah.
Can you buy Mortal Kombat here?
So it's I think it's you can't sell it as like a Korean distributor, but like I think you can just buy it from Steam. Right?
Oh, okay, so that's fine.
But then I think I have a U.S. account, so I don't know if but it's like it's like banned here in that you can't be an official seller of it. But, I mean, you can like. People are playing it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So speaking of like things you mentioned earlier, like blowing up, the Pakistan video you did, that one really killed it. Love that video.
Yeah.
I kind of anytime I see like Pakistan just win a tournament, I just like really just like tweet like this is the reason like check out this video why Pakistan's so good at Tekken, right?
Yeah.
How hard was it to make that video?
Yeah. So the Pakistan video is kind of an accident because our company we were doing content so our business picked up after I started my channel.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like businesses have slumps and ups and downs.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was really busy, and people know whenever like there's a drought in content. Like I'm busy doing other stuff. It's not too hard to imagine. But during that time, like there's some other content that we were doing that involved me going to Pakistan to interview Arslan Ash because they needed an Arslan Ash interview, and it's like, okay, well, I'm getting sent to Pakistan to film this thing, like this is my chance to like film something, and they were cool with it. They were like, hey, you guys, you can do your own stuff too, like if so I made it multitasking. So I did all the stuff that they wanted, and it turned out really good. And then then I did stuff that I wanted for my channel, and it worked out really well. It was kind of I had never been to Pakistan or that side of the world before, so it was a very new experience, and I didn't really know what to expect, but yeah, I mean everybody was super nice. Wakar and Silver Fox, the commentators, they took really good care of me, and they drove me everywhere, and got my Ubers. And
what was the food like?
The food was godlike. I actually
because I felt like I didn't see no food at all.
Oh yeah, there's like one shot of food in there, but like I think I want to have more on that, but like I guess it wasn't about food. So I really enjoyed the food there. there's just one restaurant that there's a few clips of that restaurant.
Yeah.
And I think they whenever guests come from abroad, they take a lot of people there, and the food was is really flavorful, and they don't have like alcoholic beverages there. So
that was like that when I went to Kuwait. Like there was no drinking allowed.
Yeah, but they had like really good mocktails, which is like so they kind of like upped that game. You know, like mocktails are kind of in other places kind of like an afterthought, right? But they really like they were really serious with those drinks, and so like those are really good. And overall like it was kind of funny because I don't know, for some reason, like when I was in Pakistan, everyone thought I was a girl.
Because of long hair?
Yeah, well, I have long hair, and I've kind of like I'm generally very clean shaven usually. So I don't know, like I guess I seem like that.
They're trying to rizz you up.
So I mean, so like there's an airport security. There's like two lines for
I guess different gender.
Yeah, they're different genders, right? And so like I mean, I know they weren't just like messing with me. Obviously, why would you do that? They just genuinely thought that I was a girl. And so they were like, okay, you should go in this line. They just told me, and I was just like, and I didn't know that I was just following orders.
Yeah,
right?
following orders. Yeah.
And I went, and then there was this like a booth like thing. It was like with a curtain that was like closed.
Okay.
And then that's when I realized like, oh wait, no, I'm not supposed to be here. I told them, and I told like one of the security guys, and then he realized, like, I guess he heard my voice, and he's like, oh, and he was like so embarrassed, and he was so apologetic, and I was just like, oh no, it's okay,
So in the men's line, there was no booth, I guess. Is this kind of like I'm guessing the booth was like a strip search thing.
Yeah, it was like a search thing or something, and so I don't know exactly like what the setup was, but I just knew that there was like two places, and they kind of threw me. So that was kind of like an interesting, I guess this is kind of like a side tangent to like my trip there. But like everybody was super nice, and it was when I went to the arcade parts, like Plaza or whatever, that place where they were selling all this stuff. Yeah, they were really really friendly, and they're happy to like do the filming and talk about the stuff.
It looked dangerous in terms of like the hazards of the electrical parts.
Oh yeah, well
that was crazy.
Yeah, they have like there's no electrical component that they can't salvage, right? So they feel that, and so like I remember I didn't go to too much depth in that video because I guess it would have been too long, but like they had like equipment and gear that's designed to like strip parts of motherboards and like chips, so you can get like the valuable part out of them. Otherwise it'd be like too hard to do it by hand. So they have like machines that like will salvage those parts. So like if you have like like some busted, like a bunch of busted PlayStation 3s, like that are like so damaged that it just seems like you couldn't make something out of that. Like those guys can just take those and make one working PS3 out of
this.
Those
sounds
chips,
like some I don't know. You watch Star Wars?
Yeah. I know exactly. I know exactly
salvaging.
The parts. Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like a bunch of Star Wars stuff right now.
Yeah, but it's really economical and resourceful because it's like just if you look at like computer components, and we live in an era where kind of like my cell phone's batteries kind of got weird, and I gotta throw it away now. It's just kind of
there's insurance, right? You just get
it's just kind of get a new one, or so there's kind of it's kind of cool to see that there's I'm kind of a tinker guy. I like building computers and PCs, and so it was definitely relatable when I went, and and it's just cool to see the people. Games, fighting games and stuff is just like so it's universal, right?
Yeah,
it's
so
like
different.
You go to a different culture, and you're just like, oh, these guys like fighting their friends, just like I do, and it's like very much. Those are one of the things that I think is really valuable to kind of look at, because if you look at like media and just the news cycle and stuff, they don't talk about like more specific things like like Tekken in Pakistan, right? That's not like a piece that's going to be made by the Times or whatever, right? But I think these stories are they're interesting because it kind of puts a kind of different perspective on the main things that we hear, right?
I think the reason why I love it so much, because like when I traveled a lot, like just like South America, Australia, or like different parts around the world, and like I can only like I'm the only one experiencing it, so other people can't see what it's like. So the fact that you turned that into a video so that everyone could see like, oh, if you went to Pakistan, this is what it would be like. It was like, yeah, this is kind of what I experienced like growing up as a player. So I think that's why it resonated for me so well personally.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, like these are the things. Like I know, these. If you think about like the people the FGC people who do this kind of professionally and are traveling a lot, like most people don't get to see that many cultures
they don't.
and places, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much that, and I think that's one of the more interesting things about fighting games in the FGC, because like now you're meeting people from everywhere, and then the important thing that matters there is like getting some good games, right? And then usually there's like afterwards you get meals, you try the place's food, and then like if you're in a country that like people don't go too often, usually the FGC there will be like, oh, we gotta show them like the best food and show them some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then when they go to other places, then the same happens for them. So like there's definitely like
it's a cycle.
Yeah, there's a cultural exchange, I think, that goes, and that cycle is like this give and take is I think it's one of the coolest aspects. And so yeah, I think it's beyond just like combos, right? And like fighting games are kind of a bigger thing, and I want to show that as much as I can.
Same.
Content.
So obviously I'm really into like Korean culture, like K-pop and K-dramas.
I know.
How often do you meet famous people in K-pop and in K-dramas?
Oh, I'm gonna admit I'm not really a K-drama person.
Okay.
But I mean, like, in terms of actually, this is kind of interesting, I guess. So we do with our video business, we do work in this industry tangentially, right? So we do like a few years ago we did we got this random crazy gig where they're just like, oh, we need to interview Blackpink, right?
Yeah, jealous.
And it was, you shouldn't be jealous. It was hard work, because it's you think it'd be like a simple thing where it's like, like just go to rent out a studio, just have them there, and then bring the cameras and lights, and then you just all right, ask the questions and do it. But like when it's that level in the industry, it's like there's like from their side there's so many people. Like it's like they had like I don't even you can't meet everybody. It's just like I would say like maybe like 20-30 people on their end supporting them. And obviously they're huge, right? So it's like they have like they have their handlers, of course, but then there's like this giant infrastructure, and then so on our end we needed to build up a huge crew as well. And in the midst of all this, it's like we're just doing like an hour interview or whatever, and it was like this 1 hour matters a lot, because those to make that happen, to bring those people of that level to like at the peak of their careers to like one spot. I guess this is kind of talking about like my industry a little bit, but it is a big thing. And then and also at the time, I think this was during COVID, right? So like we had to have all the COVID precautions and everything, and so I mean it's cool, like it's cool that we get gigs like this and stuff, but those are, I guess, the more high profile people are, the more stressful it becomes, actually.
I think it's harder to work with. Well, I guess it's because like you said, the handlers, and you probably have to go through so many like talk to different people to get approval.
And then there's people like asking, like people coming and asking, like, can we change this, can we do this? And it's just like but like that person said the opposite thing, and like I don't know, it's kind of but yeah, in terms of like Korean cultural stuff, I mean we do run into it. We do a lot of film stuff, so like some of the people that are in the content that we film, we do a lot of Valorant stuff, so sometimes we use actors and stuff, and those guys are they're like actors that are in like K-dramas and stuff.
Cool.
And like one of my good friends, his name is Unjong. He was like in Vincenzo. I don't know if that was.
I know. I know the mafia lawyer.
Oh, the mafia lawyer. Okay. Well, if you ever, I don't know how many episodes you've seen.
I watched the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, he was like the bad guy cop. So
the bad guy cop.
Yeah, he was like the bad cop, like the evil cop, the one that was like trying to get the greedy cop or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That was him. Like he's like our homie. Like he.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and we filmed with him, and he's been an actor in a few things and some of the Valorant content that we've done actually.
Yeah.
So it's funny, and he's like in movies and like so, and then he always has like fun stories about like about the industry and like some actors that he meets. And
I'm jealous of that one. That one's pretty cool. Vincenzo was a pretty big hit for sure.
Yeah, that was a Netflix hit, right? It was like I remember it's like I actually do. So I guess I do watch some stuff that my friends are in. I guess, right? So it's like cool to see them.
Yeah, it's cool to see them act
acting.
and like be a different character and everything like that.
Yeah. So but he's a really good actor, and he also showed me how hard that industry is, like breaking in as an actor. Like
it feels competitive, like super competitive, kind of like Hollywood.
Yeah. It's it is. There's a hyper competitiveness, and then like everyone's kind of fighting for very few spots, and you just have to be like you have to be the best looking. You have to act well. And, it's tough. So
well, have you ever had a opportunity to work at Twice? Hire me as an assistant.
Oh man,
because I will fly out. You don't even gotta fly me. I'll fly myself out.
Okay, all right.
Just a chance to meet JWong. You know what I mean? That's all I want. Because even at the event yesterday, like a lot of people were asking me like, who's your bias in Twice? And I'm like, JWong. They're like, I know already. I just want you to say it.
Oh man.
Yeah, so they know I'm a fan of JWong.
All right. We know your weakness. All right.
Yeah, you know my weakness. So what's so you live in, how long you living in Korea?
So I've been living in Korea since around 2011, 2012.
Okay.
So it's a little more than 10 years now. So I've still lived in the U.S. most of my life. But yeah, I guess maybe one day it'll come to the point where I lived here more than in the U.S. So.
What's the weirdest thing you eat here?
The weirdest thing that I like or that I tried?
I guess both, like or tried.
I guess like the weirdest thing is
like if you would recommend me something, like hey, I want you to try this weird thing.
Well, okay, the classic weird thing in Korea, which is still weird, but I actually like kind of like gotten used to it and like I don't mind it anymore. It's the live octopus.
Yeah, I tried it one time in Jeju Island.
Okay, how did you feel about that?
Everyone has scared me to the point where you have to really chew this thing because
I got told that
because the suctions will just like it's not trying to get swallowed, right? Yeah. So like you could choke from it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why am I eating this? Right?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
So I kind of went in there thinking I'm scared for my life while eating this.
Yeah.
So I don't think I understood the process of like, this tastes good.
Oh, okay. So you weren't even thinking about like the food as a food item.
Yeah, it was more of a fear factor.
Okay, it's a fear factor episode for you. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, like after a few times, you just kind of, it's kind of like a thing that sometimes people will order, and so that's one weird thing, I guess. The other weird one is called is hongohue, which is like I think it's like stingray, but it's like they ferment it like it's like raw fermented fish, and they ferment it like for a very long time.
So it would smell.
And it smells so strong that there's like zoning laws about it. So if you're gonna make a restaurant that serves that, like you have to like you can't just put that restaurant anywhere. Like it has to be
crazy,
so it's like it smells so strong. And I've actually had it a few times. You have to know people who would be okay with eating that to like kind of. And I ate out of curiosity, and it's interesting. You bite into the fish, and then it releases this almost kind of like a ammonia kind of like gas in your mouth.
That doesn't sound good.
Is that appetizing? Do you guys don't? No, it's and then like there's kind of a licorice flavor a little bit to it, and it's like it's really strong, and but it's extremely unique. Like there's nothing like it, and it's not what you would imagine it necessarily. It is weird in its own kind of way. So I can see why people could like it because it's definitely like it's not like anything I've ever had. But the downside is like after you eat there, like your clothes and your hair, you have to take a shower, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I went with some friends who came from the U.S. they just kind of want to go on this like dare to try the weird foods in Korea, and so we went to that restaurant, and after coming out, like we took a bus, and everyone in the bus was holding their nose, and we just realized like, oh, smell like that
smell
restaurant.
like that.
Yeah,
the smell would
it's
pretty
like,
much
of course.
stick with you.
Yeah. So like we're like noobs, right? We don't know how to like eat this and not bother people, right? So,
Yeah.
So those are the two weird foods.
So what's the tastiest thing that you would recommend?
The tastiest weird thing, I guess, or
the
just
tastiest
food?
thing in general.
I guess like there's, I mean, I like Korean barbecue, obviously, but
Do you call it barbecue or Korean barbecue?
So in Korean, people just say, "Let's go eat meat."
Meat. Okay.
Yeah, they say 고기 먹자, right? So it's like, obviously they're not going to call it Korean barbecue, right?
Of course,
it's
yeah.
not like like you go to Texas and you go, "Let's go get some Dallas barbecue."
Yeah.
It's like, but there is a Dallas barbecue in New York, right? So
There's a restaurant.
yeah, there's a restaurant.
I don't know if that still exists, but
yeah, I had it. It was all right. Sauce was a little sus, but
yeah,
not knocking on
I
New
don't
York,
trust
right?
barbecue unless I'm going to Texas, or if or my friend named Collins, he invests in like a lot of smokers.
Oh, okay.
So and he had like 4 different types of smokers and
Yeah.
everything. So he went hard, and like the stuff that he cooked was like way better than the restaurants outside of Texas.
Oh yeah. That's a art form in
Yeah, it is.
itself. That's yeah. I mean, when I go to Texas, usually like I have a friend whose parents have a lake house that they let us use.
Oh, nice.
For a weekend or whatever. And since I come to the U.S., just only like so seldomly, we usually like meet up there. And there's like this, there's like a smokehouse, a barbecue place that's just it's called Cooper's. And it's just like this guy who's just been doing it forever. That's like he's just been refining and honing his craft, and it's just it's so good, and it's one of those things where you would think that this is kind of like the level can be so only so high or whatever. It's like sushi, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like you think that sushi can only be so good because it's like rice vinegar and fish, but then I mean I know you went to like Jiro, right?
Yeah.
So I'm so jealous. Like I try, it's like impossible now.
I heard, I think you told me actually, it was it's only like locals or like whoever's in their book that can get in.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to get in, like you have to know people, and and then there's like I think some hotels have some programs where like if you stay in a hotel, you have a chance to eat a Jiro,
a roulette.
Roulette. I'm just like, oh, okay. I guess what happens when you become the most famous sushi chef and have 10 seats only at your restaurant.
Yeah, and he's obviously getting older. Because when I went, he was 90.
Yeah.
And that was in, I believe, 2019.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that means he would be 95 now.
Wow.
Sort of, right? So
he's still making sushi. It's unbelievable.
Because when I went, he made the first, like, 5.
Yeah.
Right? And then the rest was just from his son.
Okay.
Right, so like he couldn't do the whole like omakase the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So obviously it makes sense because if it's 10 people and he did like 5 rows worth, so it's already a lot.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So I guess like, I guess that's my best example of like something where you don't expect it to be like how high of a level can something get.
Yeah.
Because it seems seemingly kind of like a simple thing, and so.
I like when I was here. So before I came, I was fiending for some like pork belly.
Oh yeah.
And I've been dying for it because in Vancouver, they actually don't have many good pork belly places. Like
okay.
I went to like different places, and I'm like it's just not hitting right. So then I come to Korea, and the first thing I do when I land was like, Keith is like a stop sign. He's like, "What do you want to eat?" I was like, "Pork belly." Okay. So he lives around the area where we're staying at.
Yeah.
And he takes me to a local pork belly place.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I was like, the music was playing in my head. I was so happy.
Yeah.
So that's like my thing.
Okay, pork belly is your thing. Oh, maybe we can find some today. There's plenty of places.
I love it when it's cooked and I see the oil just dripping.
Oh yeah, though that's the way you do it. They have like the stone pan.
Yeah.
And you got to have the guy with like the laser gun that checks the temperature.
Yeah.
And then they cut all the pieces in this row, and then like there's like pile of kimchi like right below.
Oh yeah, so
and then
good.
so like the oil goes down into the kimchi,
Yeah.
into the drain, and then the kimchi gets like really flavored up.
That's another thing. I don't like kimchi in America. Like when I go to places, I'm like, oh, kimchi's kind of whack. It's like, it just feels not as fresh. But when I come like trying all the kimchi every time we sat down at a restaurant, it's just always so fresh. So it's like kind of like they make it that morning. The same day of.
Yeah. I mean, kimchi is like a staple of Korean food. It's like, I mean, you can go to a prison and you know that's like they'll even have it there, right? So they have.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, kimchi is like just like it's like the bread and butter.
Yeah, the bread and butter
of Korea. So, yeah.
Do you watch FGC content?
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch a lot more before, but I guess I'm still. Are you talking about like streams or like just stuff on YouTube or?
Yeah, just like stuff on YouTube. Like, do you watch like because you've seen so many people now are like making FGC content, right? It's kind of like the boom, right? So like, so I'm always just kind of curious on.
I kind of like so. I guess for FGC content now, I don't watch a ton. Or as much as I used to, but like JWong Crofts is a YouTuber that I just like his the topics that he makes, and it's just really interesting stuff about like retro games, but other games as well. And there's also is it Guile Winquote?
Guile Winquotes.
Yeah, Guile Winquote. I actually met him at Evo one time, just randomly when we were walking outside.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I think maybe like he recognized me or something, or maybe I recognized him. I don't know. But he was just starting like making content at the time, and I guess I wasn't too far into it either. But later as time went on, like he just kept on making more stuff, and he started to get into like really like kind of
deep
dives on like very interesting like games, and he has this like Super Turbo is Broken kind of series, and Third Strike is Broken. Those are always fun to watch. But there's that one video he did with that one game. I think it was an SNK game where like the controls were kind of like reversed.
That's like Bokuri one.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
He actually owns it. I hit him up, and I knew he owns the actual cartridge and like the setup.
Really?
And I asked him, hey, could you bring that to like Texas Showdown? And then, because I would love to like record a playthrough of just like playing the game, because I'd never seen that game until you made a video about it. I didn't even know it existed. So, he brought that down. So yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that like anytime I see a video up, like a Guile Winquote video, it's like I need to like watch it.
Yeah. This Guile Winquote, and Alex Nostalgics, he's made some really good content that like his content, like his quality and the amount of time and energy he spends on his content is crazy. Like I didn't like. Yeah, just some of his, maybe you're not familiar, but if you ever get the chance, like he has one video where he talked about his FGC journey that's like, I think it was like it was like an hour or something. It was like this, and he spent like a year on that, and it's got like, like over 1 million views now, but it's this, it's one of those videos where you're like, oh, okay, that 10 seconds I just watched probably took like hours to make, like kind of those things, but like as a viewer, it's just like, oh, this is awesome, the editing and everything, so. That's definitely a guy that I shout out. He started off doing like a really niche topic of Korean levers.
Oh.
Like he was like, how there's review channels of like camera equipment and musical instruments and whatever. Like he was doing like, he had a channel that had like high quality, well produced videos on like Korean levers, like of all
not
things.
Just joysticks,
not just like
Korean
not
levers.
not like JLFs and Samas, like Korean levers, because he was like getting into Tekken at that time, and so that's like the thing, right? And so, and that you can go real deep with Korean levers. There's like lever makers that like are kind of only a few people know about, but then they're like they only use the highest quality parts. And he has one video called the Ferrari of Korean levers. I think it's a Sanjuk lever. You like have to get one. You have to like know like somebody who knows that person, and they only make like a few of them, and they're extremely expensive. So yeah, stuff like that. I always find that kind of stuff interesting. So, and then of course like I watch like every once in a while there'll be videos that pop up of the FGC like commentators that have like some takes on some
the hot
something
topics.
going on, the hot topics. There's Ernesto, of course.
Yeah.
Ernesto. I've actually Ernesto's in the DFW area in Texas, so whenever I go back to my parents' place at home in Texas, I usually hit him up and he's somebody who's kind of he is the hot topic, guy. Right?
I mean, he's the news.
He's the news, yeah. And
news.
so like I prefer to get my FGC news like that rather than on Twitter.
Yeah.
In general, because Twitter is just, I don't know, it's or I guess it's X now, right? But it's kind of like a I don't know. It seems unfocused for me to go through that and see the news.
It's not easy to find anyway.
Yeah.
So usually button check is kind of like when I see it pop up, and I'm like, oh, if I want to catch up on FGC news, that's kind of like the thing that I watch too.
Yeah. So he's funny and content's super like, and he always brings multiple perspectives on an issue. So it kind of like that's how generally I'll get the news these days. And of course I have friends who will tell me like, oh, did you hear about like Terry Bogard? And,
yeah, I mean, I could tell what kind of content you like now just from when you mentioned GM Croft and Godwin quotes. It's more of just kind of like the deeper dive topics.
Yeah, it's a nerdy. I mean, like I'm like it's probably no surprise to people that I'm kind of more into the nerdy stuff. But yeah, I mean, I generally appreciate like all kinds of content on FGC stuff just because it's not. This is a topic that needs more. There's more stories and stuff to be told in the FGC.
For sure.
More the games I think are kind of. So like I have like my analytical cultural videos, but I'm also known for like I talk about like mechanical stuff. And I explain mechanical stuff that's kind of I guess generally hard to explain if you don't like write a script and like organize your thoughts. But I also think this is a thing I think in just like esports industry in general is like there's this thing where if you look at the Daigo Perry video, you've seen that, right?
I've seen it a few times.
Yeah. So you hear the people screaming and yelling, and everyone knows that there's something here. Look how excited people are getting, right? It's ridiculous, right? But the way those people see that, and the way people who have played Third Strike see it, like it's completely different, right? But the energy and excitement comes from the mechanical aspect of it, right? If Third Strike didn't have like a parry mechanic like that, then you can't have that moment.
Yeah,
right?
that moment would not exist.
Yeah, and the way the game was designed was so that if you are good enough, and your execution is on point, you can pull that kind of thing off, right? So it's I think that's one thing where I think mechanics are generally invisible to a lot of people who don't play those things, right?
Yeah, even if let's say you just picked it up and you're playing, let's say rank or whatever. Even in Street Fighter 6, when I watch, like people already ask me like, oh, how do I get better? Yeah. They're playing Street Fighter 2. They're not playing, Street Fighter 6, like because they don't use Drive Impact, Drive Rush, or anything else. But yeah, mechanics are just hard to get into people's head.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it from like, if you've played fighting games all your life, like you kind of start to understand what kind of mechanics these things have. You just look at like the pushback, the block stun, what kind of game is this? But like, for most people, like, I mean, how are they going to tell the difference if they see like an ultra combo in Killer Instinct where it's just automatic? Just watch it. It's like the last part of it is automatic, more or less. Versus like somebody who's doing stuff manually, like link-based combo, that's like, like really mad hard to execute, like some kind of like Sako combo or something, right? Generally people can't just watch that and tell the difference unless they experience those games, because it's hard. How can you know how hard something is unless you've tried it, right? But then if you show somebody high-level Tetris, NES Tetris or something, everyone's just like, oh, this is insane. This is crazy what these people are doing. I mean, right?
They got new tech now.
Yeah, you got is it the mashing on the, instead of holding, you got to mash on the directionals?
I think it was one where they like hold the controller upside down. and like put it below, like so, like it's like you know how we were playing like this,
Yeah.
but they're playing it the opposite way.
Yeah.
I guess it's faster button inputs or something like that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm just like, I'm surprised nobody has made a modded NES controller to make it faster button presses or something. Unless there's rules. I don't know what the rules. Maybe James Chen's probably the best person to ask about that.
Commentates that.
Because he commentates that. But yeah, there's like different ways to hold the NES controller competitively for Tetris.
I had no idea. That
You don't hold it like this.
Yeah.
They definitely hold it in angles.
Wow, that's that blows my mind. But I mean, yeah, even people hearing this like might not be the biggest Tetris fan or whatever, but that blows your mind,
there's
right?
tech in everything, right?
Yeah. There's tech but yeah, I do think it's some kind of games kind of lend to like you can see the tech, you can see people's skills more obviously than others, and I think that's maybe one of those things where I think in fighting games a lot of people like a good whiff punish where you're just anticipating somebody to press the button. You just know they love this button and they're gonna press it, and then you space it just perfectly.
Yeah, that's a great
and then
feeling.
and then you do it, and it's like that is like one of the. But then if you're just a layperson watching, then it's just like, well, he just pressed that. He just happened to press that button at that time, and so this is why you need like good commentators also.
For
to
sure.
kind of
to hype it up,
to hype it up and stuff. So, but yeah, I guess one of the goals with I think mechanics are really interesting. I think if you understand mechanics, fighting games are just that much more awesome. Like the more you kind of understand what's going on with these games, it enhances it, and I think it's. And I don't think it's rocket science or anything. I mean, this is stuff that's, it just, if you can kind of show it and explain it, you can be like, oh, okay, like I get that.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it's rocket science either. People definitely try to make it that fighting games are too difficult, but I think it's just, you just need somebody to really explain it to you if you can't understand it visually.
Yeah.
Because once you understand it one time, then everything else becomes super easy to understand the rest.
Yeah, you just have to get into, and then at that point, you're kind of like part of the community, because now you're having conversations about the mechanics, and now you're talking about like, oh, like what do you think would be good to do in this situation in this game, and you can have a conversation about it. But yeah, I guess with other genres of games, it's kind of like those are kind of more obvious, like how it works, because like if you show like a first-person shooter, right, it's kind of like people understand the concept of like. Like shooting people in the head, right? and aim. Yeah. Like it's like whenever you see if you see like a pistol match in like in Valorant, and like someone just bops 3 people in the head in like 1 second, like everyone knows. It's just like what the.
It sounds hype even without even watching it.
Yeah. It's just like such a it's just right there, and so yeah. I guess this is kind of where fighting games are. I do have some fighting game ideas. Yeah. This is nothing's in stone. I'm not like I have some ideas where it could potentially solve the problem of that, where you don't see the skill on display as obviously, without like making it weird. I don't want to make this.
No, go for it.
Thing, but yeah, it's I think that there's definitely potential in like combining like fighting games, traditional fighting games, and rhythm games. Yeah. In a way. And the thing is, like, I grew up playing Busted Groove, and Busted Groove is this kind of dance game where you're kind of like pressing inputs to the beat of the song, right? And
wait, Busted Groove that's not.
It's a PlayStation
game.
Yeah.
It's not like because when I think about rhythm game, I'm thinking Parappa the Rapper.
Oh yeah, so it's in the same vein of that. Parappa the Rapper was kind of a single player game, but what made Busted Groove interesting, they made 2 of those. Actually, like I bought the Japanese versions. I imported them when I was because they had the Japanese songs I think are better than the translated songs. But I remember I played that game, like I perfect scored everything, and that was like I think that was like before like Guitar Hero was a thing or anything, and but I remember in that game it's 2-player, and you can like attack your opponent, like if you press a certain button on the beat, and then your opponent can counter that, right? So like that's a very small element of like fighting game aspect. Otherwise it's just who has the higher score, who can do the thing more accurately, right? But then that element, And I thought that was so sick, right? It's like and so like whenever I met people who are also like that game, like it was cool. It was kind of like there was a limit, like if you got so good at it to where you can just perfect score the song, the fighting stuff doesn't really mean anything because it's just so obvious. There's no like reactions or whatever, right? But then I'm like, well, if there's a way to have that kind of aspect, but like more prominent, because that was like 95% rhythm game, 5% fighting game, right?
Yeah.
So I have some ideas. Like I'm not gonna spill the everything and all the planning on that, but and this is way future.
Future.
Like I have no time these days to do
yeah,
anything.
you're too busy.
But yeah, one of the things I think that fighting games could use is something like that for, just having an audience to kind of get it. Yeah.
That's how I felt with this other game that I play. One of my non-favorite fighting games called Magical Drop.
Oh yeah,
it's a puzzle game, and I think of it like it has fighting game elements to it as well, because when you're versing another opponent, you have to. It's like mix and match 3 as fast as you can. Right?
Yeah.
And then, but then when you do you have combos. So if you do like a 6 chain, you'll throw garbage to the opponent's side.
Okay.
And the pattern is based on each character has a different pattern on what they throw.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So there's ways to counter that. Like obviously, the faster you are, the better you are. Right? That's ultimately in the end, the highest level, the faster you are, like you're gonna win because there's a quota, and once you reach that quota, the game will just automatically end, and whoever reaches 0 first wins.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, you can win before that if your opponent can't defeat all the garbage on the screen.
Yeah.
Right. So there's way to kind of stall that and everything, like timing and execution. So I thought that was like, to me, I'm like, oh, this is a puzzle fighting game.
Yeah.
Right?
There's puzzle fighting games. In the video I'm working on, I kind of go over like, so there's a type of fighting game. So like the every fighting game type video kind of like, I really tried to make it so like if anyone is like kind of like, wait, is this kind of a fighting game? Like I'm gonna have an explanation for that kind of thing, right? So obviously like a lot of puzzle games have fighting game elements. I think the core fighting game, like I think Wooly kind of when he's doing Fighterpedia in one of his videos, he mentions this term fighting gaminess. Like fighting gaminess. Okay. So it's like, does this game it's got some fighting gaminess to it? Like I don't know. So I think the thing that the strongest component of what makes something kind of fighting gamey is the 1v1 aspect, zero sum.
Yeah.
1 versus 1, and you can mess up the other person, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the core thing. And the reason, my argument for that is because if you look at like Street Fighter 2, it changed the arcade culture from high scores in the 80s, right? Remember, it was all about Pac-Man and Space Invaders.
I was about the high scores all day when I was growing up.
Oh yeah. That was like, it was like 80s was like all about the high scores. But then after Street Fighter 2 came out, it's like, nah, you gotta mess someone up, right? You gotta beat them, right? So all the fighting games that came out, like SNK, Capcom games, if you look at like even like the puzzle games and stuff like that, like puzzle games where you can throw garbage at each other and stuff like that. There's like it's not necessarily that 1v1 is like that has to be like a fighting game. Obviously, there's like sports games and stuff. You can play 1v1 tennis, right? That's a sports game.
Virtual
right?
tennis is a fighting game. I don't care what anyone says.
Okay, yeah. So exactly, right? But it feels like a fighting game so much whenever there's that 1v1 element. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what genre it is. It can be a puzzle game, and it still like feels like Puyo Puyo Tetris. Have you ever seen Puyo Puyo Tetris high level?
You see Momochi play?
He plays Puyo Puyo Tetris.
He's nasty at that. At first I was I'll be watching streams, right? And he just puts on Puyo Puyo Tetris. I'm like, okay, he must be bored Street Fighter. So I just leave it on the background just to support, right? And then I'm just watching him play. Like I just pause for 1 second, whatever I'm doing, and watch. And he's just doing, like he's not blowing up stuff. I'm like, what is he doing? He sucks at this game, right? Yeah. He's like all the way at the top, and then once he pops one, everything just explodes. And I'm just like, oh wow, it was like a 20-hit chain combo. And I'm like, how did you get a 20-hit chain combo from the top and all the way to the bottom, just all clear? And I'm like, that's crazy calculation.
Yeah, so Puyo Puyo, like like that's that whole game is like, okay, we have this kind of Western game, Tetris meets this Eastern like Japanese Puyo Puyo game. Let's combine it or whatever. But like, yeah, like I tried learning Puyo Puyo. I'm just like, oh, I'm not smart enough to play this game. Yeah,
it's definitely hard.
Yeah, Tetris is like, okay, just the shapes, you know, like you can kind of like, but like Puyo Puyo, I just feel like maybe people who are good at Puyo, there are people who are good at Puyo Puyo that think Tetris is weird. I don't know.
No, Tetris is way easier.
Okay, yeah.
Because I feel like Puyo, because you have to mix 4 to break, it makes it harder compared to 3.
Right.
3 is so much easier
right.
when you compare it to 4. And yeah, it's just, I think that's just way harder, at least in my opinion. I think maybe the hardest one is probably, I don't know if you tried Pokemon Puzzle League.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, Pokemon Puzzle League is kind of like a sister version of Puyo Puyo.
Okay.
Where it's like, it's kind of similar, but they kind of just use more of elements.
Okay.
And the way the pieces work, they don't like fall. It's there. It's already set there.
Okay.
So it goes from, because the Puyo Puyo, it goes from up to down.
Yeah.
But Pokemon Puzzle League goes from down to up.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So.
All right. So that's, you should kind of rewire your brain a bit to.
Yeah, because like the pieces are already there, so you just have to like really just mix and match and combine stuff. So it makes it harder that way. Let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
What are your hobbies? Because you know you're a busy guy doing a lot of the filming stuff, production stuff, but like when it's like, you know, you just do whatever you want now. If you could do whatever you want, like what's kind of your?
I guess like outside of gaming or like.
It could be gaming in general too.
I mean,
like something that's like, I'm not have to think about work.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess there's a couple things. Obviously, like there's gaming side, but not fighting games. I play. I'm a big From Software fan, so I just beat the Elden Ring DLC.
I just started Elden Ring recently.
Okay. Yeah. I think I got like a really busted build, the Blood Fiend arm. And then like it was so powerful that like I just beat everything. I just sped run through everything, and then I got to the point where I was like, oh, now I need to look for stuff to kill, like optional bosses and stuff. So I was just looking at maps like, who am I? I felt like a hitman or something like that. And like everybody, I just beat them on my first try, and then they nerfed the weapon a few days ago actually. So I was like, oh well, I killed everything, and so I guess that's. I mean, I can play on another build or whatever, but like
make it harder for yourself.
Yeah, but like I'm just like, you know, I've already saw everything, so so yeah, I play those kind of games. Also, music, guitar. Like I'm a big guitar player. I probably have like 10 guitars or something. And
you have a band?
I used to play in a band in 2014-ish or whatever.
So this is when you were still in Dallas.
Yeah. No, this was after. This is when I came to Korea. When I was in Dallas, I did some music stuff too. But in Korea, I found a band, and yeah, we played for a few years, and then I guess this is kind of a funny story. So I'll reveal this. It's a little embarrassing, but it's kind of funny. So we played for a while. We actually played in like festivals. And,
nice.
We played a lot of shows.
Okay.
It was
so
like
you were kind of in there.
Yeah. But later, that was around the time I was really getting into FGC. And I think the other band guys were noticing that my
like it wasn't sharp.
Ability was I wasn't as sharp. Okay. Like in the band, I wasn't as focused. I came late, and that's when I was like really getting into FGC. I was like playing Street Fighter 4 like crazy, right?
Okay.
So, and then like, and later like I, you know, we got into this like band talk or whatever, and I think one of the guys was like, it's like, oh, all you care about is Street Fighter, and I was like, oh, like,
yeah, my bad.
It's so true. like all you care about is that kid. And yeah, later I guess they kicked me out of the band. I don't know if they kicked me out, but they kind of like did the
don't
whole,
come
like,
back.
Yeah, like and that's when CoreAGaming started.
Damn, so Street Fighter kicked you out.
Ruined my life.
Ruined your music career.
Yeah, basically. But, I mean, yeah, career. But I
mean, you were playing a festival. I mean, that's already a kind of a career. If you think
yeah,
about
but
it.
I was like a member that came in later, so I wasn't like an original.
Oh, you
member.
wasn't a founding.
No.
Okay.
So it was, but but yeah, I play guitar every day, and I always practice, and just like I have nerdy tastes in guitar music as well.
Did the band members maybe they're not like, they probably don't know Corey exists, huh? Or
probably not. Well, they knew that I was
out?
doing, like, my day job was like making video content. They knew
Yeah.
about that, but I don't think they know about like CoreAGaming as like unless they're like, what's Gerald up to these days? Like, kind of like.
Or
I
if
don't
they
think
got into Street Fighter somehow.
Yeah, but I think the band never got like a new member, and it just kind of fizzled out or whatever. But I guess, like, yeah, I mean, it's post rock. So,
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
It's.
No, but other than that, I mean, thank you for taking time and blessing us with the many stories of Corey. And
Yeah,
Gerald.
yeah. Well, this is some pretty interesting stuff that I didn't know that I'd be talking about, but it's some funny stories. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Where can if you want people to find you, where can people find you?
Just go on YouTube, type in core-a space gaming, and you will find you'll find my videos there.
Yeah.
They're out there. But I promise I'm gonna try to get this video out. By the time you see this, the new video will be out. And if it doesn't, then I'm a liar again. But I've been on like maybe like 3 or 4 things since like the Pakistan video, like saying when I'm gonna release the video, and it's always like completely not, like, it's completely off. You know.
I mean, I think this video will come out in a month and a half.
Okay.
Because I have 2 more episodes before.
Oh, okay.
Because I usually like to order them. So
Oh.
I'm always about the backlog.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it'll definitely be out by the time you see this. But
Hopefully.
But yeah, that's why. But at least you'll know kind of my insights into how I made that video and what I was thinking. So, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for
No, it's
coming
always a pleasure.
All right, man. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.